what are you chuckling about over there?
Yeah.
Did you
The
know?
e-boy? I'm just looking at the topics, and it's just the first one is e-boy pussy.
Oh, all right. So, anywho, yeah. So, by the way, is it? Oh, hold on. They have the pronunciation button here. Hold on, I'm gonna hit it. Uh, oh
You know,
God,
it's some
dude, did you listen to the recorded version of it
on what's it called
on
Urban
Urban
Dictionary.
Dictionary? No, dude, go listen to it right now. It's like this, like nasty, like gutter Frenchman is like, pussy. It's super freaking weird. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's really bad.
But yeah, so it is literally.
Oh, but you can get the thanks to I don't know why you would ever do this, but thanks to Urban Dictionary, you can get the word pussy put on a face mask, a mug, a T-shirt, a hoodie. Cool.
Yeah, that's like the whole like Urban Dictionary's thing is you can get any word on a mug. But yeah, so anywho, by the way, the word pussy, as it's apparently pronounced, is slang for a gay man's butthole, a butt pussy, if you will. And we bring it up because that's our first title for the day. No, it's not exactly that. It's
We're taking a weird departure off of Cars.
well, I mean, it's not a weird departure off of Cars because we're talking about the e-bussy, which unfortunately it's a small German company, so they did not have the same where like honestly. All right, hold on. Let's look up the translation for this real quick. So we're gonna do English to German. I do not know why my phone thought I said something. I guess she heard. I guess it heard my little Asian dog making noises and somehow put two and two together because she does sound like she's saying hello, hello. So let's see, bussy. Okay, it translates from English to German as. Oh wait, I have to do it the other way around. That's why. Yeah, because if you do bussy in English to German, it's still bussy. Nope, it's still bussy. It's bussy regardless of how you
I think it's just a
around.
name. Yeah, I don't think it's an actual.
Maybe it does bus. Bus in German, Bus. Bus is the same, so maybe it comes from that base phrase. It doesn't. I will say I read through this whole article about them, and it doesn't mention it. Um, but nonetheless, long story short, is they're a German company. It did not have that same connotation for them, and I will even openly admit, until Hunter got me into the loop, I did. Well, apparently I did mostly get it. But I thought that it was because it was similar to the P word, not the B word. I didn't know that the B word was actually a phrase in and of itself. So,
Oh yeah.
today I learned. Today I learned. So anyway, away from its unfortunate name, the company, and I'm not even joking about this. It's a German startup company named Electric Brands. So it's like, oh, they're just in the name department. They're fun. They're very fun. But yeah, Electric Brand's new little EV concept is this absolutely adorable little scootabout van. Like it's. I mean, I'm stealing this from other people because it's true, but it looks like what would happen if you smashed the VW ID3. Is that the no, not ID3? Whatever they called their new bus. It's that mixed with like the Honda E. It's like those two things smashed together. It's a little tiny thing. It's got the cool little bus action going on, and kind of the neat, like, you know, their claim to fame is the fact that it comes in a crap ton of different variations. There's wow, they got really creative with these first two. Basis 1, Basis 2. Basis 1 is like just the cab with like a little tiny bed. Then Basis 2 is like the cab with a bigger bed. But then there's like pickup, kipper, pickup bus, transporter, koffer, which is like a little truck, Cabrio, which is basically like a 4-seater with a little bed, so it's kind of like a God, I don't know why I can't think of a better phrase, so I'm going to say it's like a Baja, but very, very different than a Baja. And then a little camper van. And they say that, like, in theory, it'd be really easy to go between these different kind of modes. Like, it'd just be kind of click and play. Because it's a little skateboardy kind of dude. And they're even saying, like, because their, like, little concept is drive-by-wire, you can move the steering wheel between different sides, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, but it's definitely neat. And it's just
actually, I'd like it. I'd drive one every day. Why not?
Oh yeah, because then you can just yeet the steering wheel to the other side and be like, fine, you drive then, and then they'll go. Yeah. But I don't know.
No, I'm talking about the van itself. Like I would buy one.
Yeah, I would actually too. Just if anything, because it's adorable and it's got like a range. It's got a range of 124 miles, and then. You know, electric torque is kind of cheating because it's not like real torque, but it is real torque. In theory, it has a combined 738 foot-pounds of torque, so it can move a lot of junk. I wonder if
the max empty weight is 450 kilos.
Wait, is that like capacity, or is that how much it weighs?
That's how much it weighs.
Wait, really?
That's what they're saying.
So for those of you guys who are here in America, 450 kilograms is, thanks Google. Yes, I didn't know. I did know it was 450,000 grams. How about pounds?
No way.
It's literally just shy. It's 8 pounds shy of 1,000 pounds. So this thing is like a gator. Like it is a very tiny little doodad. Which makes the friggin' towing capacity kind of like or not the towing capacity, but the foot-pounds of torque kind of hilarious. I wonder if you can pop a wheelie in this thing.
I'd do it all the time. I'd just pop wheelies all the time.
Every day. Just find that perfect torque curve where it just pops up and you can just coast along. But yeah, so it's supposed to start at around $23,000, which is honestly not super terrible for like a Gator-y kind of thing. Considering what all this is supposedly capable of. And it'll go all the way up to $33,000 for the off-road camper variant. Their goal is to launch in Europe 2021, so that'll be kind of neat. But at the same time, I get the distinct feeling that this is going to be one of those EV startups that goes up and down really fast.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like they all do. They're not Tesla.
Dude, can I just say, I've complained about this before, but the fact that, like, and this isn't me hating the EV-scape, I love it, I love getting hyped, but, like, so many companies are doing the whole, like, I can make an electric car, let me get it on this while the getting's good, and so many of them, like, do the Silicon Valley thing where they fake it till they make it, and they never make it, and then they just, like, there's just so many EV companies that I've heard of, and then never heard of again, or I've heard from, and then I don't hear anything about them for like 4 years, and then like 4 years later, they're like, "We're still a thing. We're garnering funding," and I was like, "Isn't that what you were doing 4 years ago?" Okay, good on ya.
Hey, what happened to the fucking what's that called? Elio.
Don't you fucking dare! Don't you say that name in my house. Don't Don't even think about it. I can see it on your face. You don't even have your webcam on. I can see it in your face.
Dude, 25%. Oh, what?
Wait, did Elio actually make some progress on something?
No, probably not.
God damn it. You see, this is why I said not to bring it. You brought my hopes up and you smashed them down. For those of you guys who aren't aware, the Elio was a adorable little like 3-seater thing. It was like a little, basically like a glorified motorcycle with a steering wheel.
There's 65,000. Tell your robot to shut up. There's 65.
I am telling him to shut up. He was freaking out.
65,000 reservations. The last time there was any news was
what, like 2 years ago? Actually,
no,
they pooped stuff. Wait, for Elio? No, they've had more recent news than that. Their most recent news, it's because their shit's organized wrong. They've like popped out a few little tiddly bits since way after that. I forget where it is. Yeah, because wait, God, I swear to God, no way it's been 4 years. I swear to God, there's been more
it's been
news.
4 years.
Hold
the
on.
last news that you had
I've
was
literally
2016.
seen. No, I refuse. Hold on, Elio. I'm gonna go into the news. I swear to God, I've seen something sooner than this. Has it really been 4 years? Is that how dead this dream is? Let's see. All right. No, that's not from Elio themselves. All right, last ditch effort. I gotta go to the subreddit because I swear I saw news sooner than this from somewhere. Man, that is just sad though. How because they were kicking and they went out kicking and screaming. Like when I was into them back in the day, like they were regularly making waves. They were at the Detroit Auto Show and everything. Like they were at the Detroit Auto Show that we went to. Let's see. Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's wait, okay, hold on. This was from a month ago. One man company with a mailing address. God, this is. Have you ever been to the Elio Motors subreddit? Half of it is just like meta comments about how people feel stupid about ever believing in the idea. That like literally, all right, top post. Elio Motor music? What? Elio Motors had a competition come up for music for their car commercials. Then happy 2022 Elio targeted production. Today's the day, folks. Another major milestone. 76 weeks from today. But then there's like other stuff, like there's Elio Motors is a legal scam that cannot be stopped by the United States judicial system. This zombie company will be scamming people for decades to come. Anywho, alright, so I don't know, how do we get talking about the Elio? Were we talking about the little freaking smolders that pop up and burn out? Oh, I just lost Hunter. He blue screened. Oh, boo. Boo. Alright, so I'll tell you what, we are going to reconvene here in just a minute once Hunter gets his computer back up and running. So, yeah, anywho, we'll be back here in just a minute. All right, and we're back, ladies and gentlemen. After that brief commercial break, thanks to Hunter's little blue screen, because he was like, "Yo, I'm a cool kid. I can blue screen, right?
Yeah, of course."
So I don't even remember where we left off, but oh, that's right. You disconnected, and I didn't realize you disconnected, so I just continued to like sadly rant about Elio for a while. Where did you lose me at?
Elio.
Just at the start of the Elio.
Yeah, we covered it, but it's like we could move on.
Yeah, all right.
Nothing's gonna happen with it.
Yeah, because
it's a dead product.
Yeah, Elio makes me sad, and it's deader than I thought it was, because I legit thought they were still like floundering and kicking around in the sea somewhere.
What are they gonna do about 65,000 deposits?
That's the part that you missed, was me talking about the subreddit. The subreddit is just like the saddest thing, because like legit half of it is like people like being super depressed, and the other half of it is like people randomly like following pipe dreams. Like, you know, the first one, Elio Motors music 27 days ago, apparently they're looking for, they have a contest going. Like, they had a, when did this happen? Because this was posted a month ago. Apparently they legit still have a contest going for music for a commercial. Like, see, and this is why there's like weird, like why I didn't think they were dead. It's because there's random like bits of news where like something is happening, and then there's some random person who made a post that said "Happy 2022 Elio targeted production." Then you've got American Greed cannot air an episode on Elio Motors and their unstoppable scam because banks which do business with both entities don't want the Elio scam to ever end, and why would they? There's a sucker born every 5 minutes, and Elio Motors is there to take their money 100% legally. And 2/4 of the year into the year without a blog post. Elio Motors is a legal scam that cannot be stopped by the United States judicial system. This zombie company will be scamming people for decades to come. And it's just
how
like,
big of a bailout they got.
What'd you say?
I wonder how big of a bailout they got.
I don't know, honestly, because like again, they are like a zombie company. Like because stuff is happening. I don't know what kind of stuff. But it is somehow, some way. CEO is still listed as Paul Elio from 2009 to question mark. God, they were founded in 2009. Like, see, that's the other thing that makes me really sad is I got on this bandwagon in like 2015. There were people who were like 6 years my senior in terms of being on the bandwagon. And still, like, they never made a full production car. It just makes me so freaking sad. Especially because I was hella down for this thing. Like, if you haven't, after all of my ranting, if you haven't looked this thing up yet, look it up. It is neat. It's weird, but it's neat. And I would have driven the hell out of one. Like, this straight up would have 100% been my daily driver. No questions asked. But instead, it's a pipe dream / a zombie company that just absorbs people's money and never makes good on its promises because they're dead. I wonder if they've showed, like, I wonder if they're still showing up to motor shows and stuff, because, you know, that's the worst thing is that everyone has really, really hurtful things to say, like, oh, they're a lying company, and that, but it's like, you know, for, like, they were trying, and they're still trying, and that's the reason why they're, like, most of the time, that's the reason why most companies are, like, zombie companies, is because, like, the CEO still wants it to happen. They just have no feasible, realistic way to make it happen other than pipe dreams and, you know, hoping that the right investor comes along and sweeps them off their feet, which is, you know, all that could really save them. Otherwise, they're just going to keep floundering around. Anywho, that's what eBus is going to be, probably. Womp womp.
Yeah, probably.
But you want to know something that started out as a pipe dream and instead has become fully fledged real? I can't do words today. Yeah, so the TRX is finally officially, like, completely confirmed. We are finally gonna get the TRX, which I am super duper excited about. So for those of you guys who don't know what the TRX is, it is basically the general premise of it is it's a Hellcat Ram. It's specifically, though.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Its
specific purpose is to tailgate people who are just driving down the road on the speed limit. That's all it's for. That's the specific purpose. That's what this truck's for.
Yeah, pretty much. Although I will say, like, it's also supposed to be FCA's attempt at a Raptor fighter, which,
yeah, whatever. I mean, you know, same thing.
Yeah, which I guess, to be fair, they do have to fight the Raptor at tailgating people. So, yeah. But anyway,
there we go. Well, there we go. We're moving right on.
No, but in reality, though, so just sort of some quick little tiddly bits of information on this bad boy. Obviously, it's 700 horsepower because it's a Hellcat motor. However, instead of 707, it's 702. So, for those of you guys who really needed the extra 5 horsepower, I'm sorry. The TRX does not deliver. You are going to be 5 horsepower short, so I guess you're better off going ahead and buying a Hellcat motor and then swapping it into your regular Ram, because that makes tons of sense anyway. Yeah, go do that, because, yeah, you're going to be down 5 horsepower. You got to have that full 707, right?
Yeah, you got to. I mean, or else it's not a car.
Yeah, exactly. So, anywho, long story short is this thing. It's literally like they did the classic, hey, can I copy your homework? And he said, yeah, I just copy it a little bit and change a few things. And they went, okay. And that's basically what they did with the Raptor. It's like the exact same formula. Wide body, different, slightly modified, strengthened frame. Except they don't use shock dampers. Instead, they went with I cannot remember what shocks they ended up going with. I even read that article, and I don't remember what the shocks were. That makes me really mad at myself, because I was gonna be so well informed, and I was such a good boy today that I like read everything ahead of time, and apparently reading it meant nothing because I just went Bilstein. There we go. They're Bilstein dampers instead of Fox shocks, which they're all fantastic suspension manufacturers. So it's not like you're gonna. Well, I don't know. I guess if you talk to some people, they'll be able to say, "Oh, Bilstein sucks at this," and other people will be like, "No, Fox is the best." But the one thing that's kind of neat about it is this one actually does have a independent rear end. So it has an independent rear end with a multi-link suspension setup versus the Raptor, which still has the live axle in the rear, which the new F-150 Raptor is going to get that. So and likewise also, this is it's not in our news segment, but we were talking about literally like as of like today or yesterday, Ford confirmed that they are working on putting the freaking GT500 engine in the Raptor, in the next gen Raptor. So now we're getting into these just absolutely retarded horsepower wars with our off-road trucks. So we'll have a 700 horsepower Raptor, we'll have a 700 horsepower TRX, and then maybe Chevy will stop eating paste and put something good in the ZR2. It's not like well, I don't know. It's not like Chevy has a high-powered V8 lying around anywhere. They don't have any of those, right? They just have a bunch of Chevy, like they're known for like their 4-cylinders, right?
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
Yeah, like they've never made a V8 in their lives. I don't even think they know how to make a V8. If they made a V8, it'd probably suck.
I'm sure nobody would swap it into literally every car on the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's no hope of them ever figuring out how to put.
No.
Well, first they'd have to develop a V8, and then they'd have to put it in a truck. Yeah. In a truck? Who would do such a thing? Who would dare develop a V8 and put it in a truck? Who would do that? Definitely not GM. Never. So, anywho, aside from Chevy's lack of a V8, the TRX, obviously for me as a huge Raptor fanboy, it's still the next car on my list is a first-gen Raptor. This is super duper exciting. Not that I can afford it. I'm not the target demographic of this truck because it comes in at a spicy $70,000, which some people go, oh, the Raptor comes in lower than that, but the TRX also actually comes pretty loaded as a base at the base price. So for all intents and purposes, like if you wanted a Raptor that has all basically like when you go from Super Crew to Crew Cab on the Raptor, you've already added like $5 or $6K to the price of the truck. Then when you add like 1 or 2 option packages, basically most Raptors sold in the United States are $70,000 trucks. So it kind of comes out in the wash there, because the TRX only comes in the Crew Cab version so far. They haven't announced any, one door, and a lot of it is because I think that they just wanted to go for. It was the only way they could put the beefier frame into it. Basically, is my running theory. Oh, by the way, another fun thing about the TRX is it tows 8,100 pounds, which kind of sharts over like. Obviously, it was meant to be a one-up to the Raptor, so it's going to shard over every figure that the Raptor makes. Because I think the Raptor caps out at like 5,600 or 7,200 or something like that. I don't remember what this generation Raptor tows. Let's find out. Let's see. 2020 Ford Raptor towing capacity. 6,000 to 8,000. Okay, so it will do up to 8,000 pounds, the current gen. It's the last gen that capped out a little bit lower. So yeah, so if you get the crew cab Raptor with the tow package, you can tow up to 8,000 pounds. I actually didn't know that. Wow, that's spicy. God, I want a new Raptor. I want a new Raptor so bad. It's so good. Anywho, we now have the TRX, and I guess we'll talk about some of the other little tiddly bits about it. So it's got a big old massive it's a heavily modified Rebel, so in terms of like look and feel, it's a wide body Rebel, but it's got a nifty little hood scoop where they snuck their little lights in that hood scoop because it is officially wide enough that it has to be classified as a certain type of for some sort of vehicle. I can't remember. And dude, my webcam just cannot keep focus. It's like it randomly just goes. It just goes, hey, you like that bokeh effect? Everything defocuses. So by the way, I apologize to those of you who are watching, but literally if I turn off my camera and turn it back on, all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's a person in view. Okay, that's cool. Ugh. So, yeah, but overall, I really like this truck. And also it ditches the stupid knob shifter, so you get a proper manly shifter down there, and paddle shifters. So for anyone who really wants to feel badass when they're bopping around, boom, there you go, you're covered. It also, by default, always comes with a 12-inch screen, and it comes with a ton of drive modes. Like I said, literally everything the Raptor does, this does, and in theory, supposedly, this does better. Because, more horsepower, which fixes everything.
Yeah.
So either way, I'm so glad to see competition in this space, because the Raptor has been allowed to sit on its laurels for Not that being said, it's not like it's been a bad truck for it, but it has been, alone in this space. Which, now we'll have a 700 horsepower Raptor. Now, I do look forward to seeing if that's like an option, because I don't see them putting an engine as complex as the GT500's V8 into the Raptor and then just calling it the base model for the same price they've been cranking out. Because that's almost like basically pissing on GT500 owners if you can get a Raptor with the same engine for $30,000 less. But who knows?
Yeah.
Because I guess you could also make the argument that the Raptor already existed, whereas the GT500 needed a new tranny, a bunch of new suspension stuff, etc., etc. So I guess we'll really see. But at the end of the day, 700 horsepower is silly in a truck. This thing does 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. It is now it is capped at 110 miles per hour because, presumably the tires would explode if you drove it at 150. Not that people are going to care. They're going to be people who take that limiter straight the hell off. And we're going to see some spectacular somethings when people do. But for now, though, from the factory, it's capped at 110, but you will get there quick. Super quick. We're talking, what other cars have a 4.5 second 0 to 60? I think, the WRX STI is, 6-something seconds. 2020 Subaru WRX STI 0 to 60. So the current gen WRX does, or current gen STI does it in 6 seconds. Hey, look at that. Good job, brain. So it'll smoke a WRX, but let's go ahead and see maybe Ford Mustang GT. I think that might be at that 4-second something mark. Let's take a look. The Ford Mustang GT's 0 to 60 is 4.5 seconds. Boom. Good job, brain. You're remembering random specs like a boss. So yeah, anyway, this thing's as fast as a Mustang GT in a straight line.
That's stupid.
It's absolutely stupid. And you get all the supercharger wine. And of course, like I said, then you can do I think that's the extra scary thing, is it's you could blow the doors off, or you could be neck and neck with a Mustang GT in a straight line, and then just yank the wheel to the right and go bopping off down the side of the road, into the median, and start racing them in the median. Now, that being said, you'd probably lose a little bit of speed there, but it's just absurd to think about that. These trucks are dumb. I love it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to own a Raptor. I'm gonna be so stupid with my Raptor. Like, I'm gonna be absolutely just retarded with my Raptor when I get it. Because it's like, the idea of having a vehicle that can just glide over everything is just insane to me. So, by the way, Hunter, did you have things you wanted to say about the TRX? I got excited.
I really could care less about it.
It doesn't make you want to pop a boner?
No, not at all.
It doesn't make you.
don't.
It doesn't make your e-bussy feel good.
It doesn't. I mean, it's just another big dumbass truck that really serves no purpose.
No, you can go do Baja stuff with it. Boom.
Nobody will. I'm sure one run through Baja and it'll fuck it up. There's a reason why trophy trucks are built the way they are. Like, it's not just.
Well, hey, to be fair, the current gen Raptor did compete in the Baja 1000.
Yeah,
with
it was
a 2-inch.
modified.
No, it was a 2-inch lift, and all the race required stuff. So cage, fuel cell, you know, all of the equipment you're required to have. But in terms of chassis and drivetrain, it was the same. At least this is what Ford claims, and it's, you know, it'd be kind of a dick move if they were lying about it.
It's like the people that do it's like if people that do laps on the Nürburgring, it's like, all right, what tires did you have on them? You know, that's the major part. It's like, are the tires for this Nürburgring lap the same tires that are in the car in the showroom?
And that's the worst thing, is that, like, when companies always are willing to, like, inflate everything, it's always like, how much of that is true? I mean, but, like, at least appearance-wise, like, because I have seen some of the, like, up-close-y kind of pictures, and I have seen a F-150 Raptor R in person before, and, you know, doing my little poking around, I was able to just be like, that's recognizable, that's not crazy, look at that. So, I mean, and I will say, though, I do have friends with Raptors who they absolutely beat on them, and they do take, now that being said, these are all guys who have post first gen, which had the frame issue, which caused the spectacular jump and the boom. But nonetheless, they do hold up to at least the abuse that most of us are really going to use it for. Because let's face it, sure. How many privately owned teams are going to buy a Raptor to run the Baja 1000?
They're not. They're going to build a trophy truck.
So, for most of us, it's for playing around. And it is more than capable of playing around. Which is why I want to get one, so I can go play around. Because I want to play around, dude. Dude, it's just, oh my god. I got to drive a 2017 Raptor on a rallycross course, and that just made me giddy. It's just so big and stupid, and everything's so smooth. Okay, we're gonna get on to another topic, because I'll just talk about how much I love Raptors. And this isn't even supposed to be about the Raptor. It's supposed to be about its competitor. By the way, I will still say I think the Ford Raptor looks a million times better than this. Like, I don't know what it is, but, like, the wide body is so much more subtle on the TRX that it just doesn't feel as menacing to me. Like, they put little flares on, and they gave it a cool hood scoop. But nonetheless, I do still love the concept of it, and also it sounds a million times better, because I was originally hesitant on this, but I have heard enough new gen Raptors in person that I do actually finally concede that it kind of sounds like trash unless you have one of, like, 2 good exhausts. And one of those 2 good exhausts is not the factory.
This is true.
So
sure, it's going to be something incredibly expensive. Like, yeah.
Yep. That honestly, I would not be surprised if the GT500 Raptor comes in with a different trim name. Like, it's like a trim of the Raptor, and they're going to keep on putting the EcoBoo in it.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
So, all that stuff being said, then, we've got, so, let's see, totally lost my whole train of thought. Oh, you know what, I didn't find a way to work this in. Let me see, let me try to figure out if we don't talk about anything. You know what, I'll fit it in at the end. We'll see if I can fit it in at the end. So yeah, so onto more new stuff. I'll take this one so you can take the next one. The new Mercedes-Benz S-Class's interior has been kind of shown off, and I absolutely hate it. I
don't like it either.
I like the concept of it. I like what it's trying to accomplish, and I will agree it is immensely clean. That is the biggest justification. Like, this is a futuristic interior, flat out. This is what the future of luxury can and should look like. But that being said, that's why I don't really like it, is that it's basically like I will say the biggest thing that bugs me with Mercedes is just like, I don't like their whole glued on tablet design. I think that they're the most, like, they're the biggest offender in the world of just slapping a freaking tablet on the dash and calling it a gauge cluster.
Yeah.
But that being said, like, it is very clean and very swoopy. Mercedes continues to fail to meet my satisfaction, my visible satisfaction, which, at the end of the day, there are tons of people who love Mercs and think they're beautiful cars. And, to the people who enjoy that, go for it. I'm glad you are happy. I will say I love the accent lighting and stuff like that. Like, all in all, it is a very, very neat experience, but it's just a giant tablet. It's 2 giant tablets and a bunch of smooth, fancy things. Like, honestly, if they could replicate this interior, but instead of, like, a big tablet-y thing, have, like, a bunch of, like, machined, like, classic, like, basically pull a Rolls-Royce. This styling with Rolls-Royce simplicity, I think, would be really nice versus what it has right now.
Yeah, for an S-Class, 100%.
Because like I said, I actually don't hate the weird future-y, like, it almost looks like a solar panel on the front dash with all that stuff going on. And there's just a lot of smooth faces and a lot of hidden features and stuff. And it is really nice. Like, it seems like it would be a cozy place to be. But I don't know, it's just, there's just something about it I don't like. And I'm normally a screen guy. I just don't like this implementation. How about you?
That's how I feel about it. I don't like it or I don't hate it. It's just meh. It's in between. I mean, it looks nice, but it's just such a weird design.
Yeah, I don't. It would just feel weird and like, obviously you'd adjust to it, but like, especially like that very first picture or the second picture where it's like the view from the back seat, it almost looks cheap. Like, not gonna lie, it almost looks cheap.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, it won't feel cheap because those are all freaking, like, all the switch gear and stuff is, like, billet aluminum and a bunch of other stuff. So it's, like, it is nice. But it's kind of interesting to see Mercedes. And you know what? In another way that I will give Mercedes some clout here is I do like the fact that they are embracing simple, though. Because Mercedes has notoriously had a very complicated, like, there's just a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of switch gear and a lot of other stuff. So it's like, this does, like, when the car is turned off, this would be, like, all smooth. Like, it'd just be a bunch of smooth, future-y surfaces. And I do kind of like that. But, I don't know, I still just am not super feeling this. But I could see it growing on me, especially if I lived with one for a little while. But that's because I'm a car whore, and just anytime I spend any time with any vehicle, I suddenly fall in love with it, so.
True. I'm the same way, but it just really depends on the car, and if I like it. I mean, of course I want an S-Class, but it's just, there's just some things about this interior. It's like, I just don't think I would like to be around.
Yeah. But something that I would love to be around. Do you want to talk about this next one?
Yeah, and guess what? It's not coming to America.
Yeah.
BMW M3 wagon again. Well, I mean, you can't get mad at these companies because look at what sells.
Buy them. Yeah, I know.
Because North Americans want fucking stupid SUVs.
But I could fuck with an M3 wagon. Like, that is what would sell me on buying an M3. Like, holy fuck, it looks like it's just like a teaser image. But Jesus, that looks good, and I just think about how much stuff I could shove in the back. And honestly, the way that BMW does it, it really accentuates how wide the rear end is. Because they actually flatten it. Like, they make it like a wagon flat end, and that, in my opinion, makes the butt look really fat. Like, that ass is fat.
It is. 100%. Yeah, that's too bad. Of course, it's not coming to America. Well, but I mean, like I said, look at what sells here. It's all small SUVs.
Yep. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get plenty more X5Ms.
I can't wait for the next. I can't wait for the next X3M. It's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be so great. That's like my dream car. You know, honestly, I would buy a Raptor, light it on fire, and pee on the flames if it meant that I could get me an X5M, because that's like end game.
Yep. I tell you what, I'll let you take the next one.
An SUV that pops tires on speed bumps.
Yeah.
So, anywho, speaking of popping tires on speed bumps, yeah, we'll go with that. The AMG 1.
I'll let you take that one because I have to pee so bad right now. So
I'll be right back. All right, so the AMG 1 is finally... So, this car was talked about, like, 18 million years ago. Like, I am not even joking. Well, obviously I am joking because it was 3 years ago. But it's like the AMG 1 and the Aston Martin Valkyrie are like two cars that we have been hyping about for long enough. I kind of had a chance to forget about them. Like, legitimately almost forgot about this car. That being said, we'll go ahead, and actually I think it might have come out back when we were in like hiatus, so I didn't get to talk. Ooh, I'm sorry about that. You know what? No, we were talking about it. We weren't in hiatus yet. But still, just to get you guys up to speed, for any of you guys who are new to the podcast or don't follow any automotive news whatsoever, the AMG Project 1 is a very fancy, special, unique car in that it kind of follows in the same footsteps as the Aston Martin Valkyrie, which is that they're both cars that are heavily influenced and inspired by F1 design and F1 engineering. The Valkyrie kind of went the way of that. It has this insane naturally aspirated V12 engine. God, why am I spacing out? I'm pretty sure it's a V12 engine. Yeah. That just makes stupid horsepower and is stupid small and light. And then they focus on like the aero on the car is really, really weird and really excessive. Whereas the AMG 1 instead opted to, they actually pulled their stuff straight from their F1 team. And they actually put in a 1.6 liter V6 combined with 4 electric motors. But God, that is just so insane. Like, this car is going to have 1,000 horsepower, and almost half of that power is from the engine, and it's a 1.6 liter V6, and this is a road car engine. Like, they're intending for this to do tens of thousands of miles. Now, albeit with some maintenance and service intervals, but this is not like engine is done after a year of racing / driving.
Yeah,
they're actually planning on making this thing a road car engine, and that is just insane. Like, honestly, I like the Valkyrie's body and aero engineering more, but I love the powertrain in the AMG 1 the most because, like, it's just unheard of. This super tiny, like, short of Koenigsegg's Friendly Giant, which is that stupid 3-liter that makes like 600 horsepower out of a freaking 3-liter turbocharged. This car is just another car in that kind of lineup of things where it's like, it's kind of funky where when I heard the engine for the first time, it's actually kind of underwhelming, the sound, until you start putting 2 and 2 together. Because at first you're like, oh, it's just another high-revving supercar. That's a high-revving engine, all right. And then you have to think about that sound is coming out of a 1.6-liter V6, and it's making the noises that this thing makes. Like, Hunter, did you get a chance to watch the little engine sound video?
I mean, it's the F1 engine just
Yeah.
tweaked for road use.
Yeah. So either way, it's just kind of neat to see that this car is starting to come together because, like, legitimately, we've been talking about this car for 3 years, and I honestly, like, if it wasn't for the fact that it's a Mercedes car, like, you could have honestly told me that this was made by Bingading, and it's the startup from Sweden, and that they had gone out of business 2 years ago. Like, that's how little I feel like we just get little tidbits of information here, little tidbits of information there.
What's is hilarious is they made 275 of them and they're all sold.
Yeah, which I honestly, God, that would be the worst thing. That'd be like one of those first world problems of having having mega car money. Is that like half the time, like you're like, oh, this is so cool. You guys are gonna make this? Hell yeah, I'll put down $3 million. I think how much is this? 2.7 million. I'm sorry, $2.7 million. When do I get it? You'll get it 3 years from now. Maybe 4.
Well, I mean, recently the biggest problem was they had to figure out how they could make the engine work for daily use because the F1 engine idles at like 7,000.
Yeah, it's not made for the. And honestly, I really cannot wait to start seeing the reviews for this thing, where we get to actually find out like what this thing's normal is, because it very well may still idle high. Like hell, well, actually, my S2000 idles at a pretty normal. Like once it's done with a cold start, it idles at like 800 RPM, but that's still higher than what my WRX does. But I don't know. It'll be really cool to just see what they ended up doing to this motor to make it be what it is. Man, I've got the yawns. I swear, I've got to stop that.
I mean, it is late, so.
Not for me. For me, it's only like 9. I'm not that old yet.
Well, for me, it's 10. So.
So, speaking of. How am I going to transition this? Is it late? Late time? Nope, got nothing. Anywho, there's a vehicle shortage right now. A little bit. It's not like a big dealio, but as of right now, there is only 2% of cars on dealer lots are 2021s. And a lot of that has to do with all of the production delays that happened because of COVID and stuff like that. But it was just kind of an interesting statistic to see is that, like, by this time last year, I think it was like 11% of cars on lots were 2021s. So for the fact that there's like basically no 2021s anywhere, it's just kind of again that like lingering shockwave effect of what COVID has caused / done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not surprising. Like, try buying a bicycle right now.
I honestly did you try to buy a bicycle?
Yeah, I did, and well, I did and I didn't because
Yeah.
I bought one used, but I was looking for new, and I was just everybody I found is like literally no stock.
That sucks. Well, dude, and I ran into the same kind of similar issue. I was trying to buy a new helmet, and because of all the COVID stuff, a lot of helmet manufacturers just stopped making 2015s. You were more than aware that I tried to buy one through you guys, and then they ended up only having expensive ones. There's a local race shop in town that literally had one large helmet left in stock that I managed to swipe. And I only managed to swipe it because he knew me and he actually bothered to like dig through for it. But yeah, so and that's because the 2020 standard is coming out. So not that the 2015s are bad because they'll still be good until like 2025. So like now I have a new best friend unless I crash and hit my head and have to replace it. I'm actually still considering getting a white helmet for the S2000 though. Once the 2020s start rolling out because I thought about it was gonna be fun. I'll go. This is what I was gonna go into more detail on later, but I'll go into it now. I was thinking about the other day. I think it'd be really fun to get like an Afro wig during Halloween this year, and then like glue it to a helmet or
That'd
to
be
one of the
funny.
racing helmets. Because since I run the S2000 top down, and of course my camera defocuses. Screw you, camera. I hate you. But yeah, so oh, it defocused even more out of spite. Holy crap, that's blurry. Okay, boom, camera reset. All right, so yeah, anywho, but yeah, so I was thinking about gluing like an app because when I was at Gridlife, which I'll go into more detail on in a little bit. When I was at Gridlife in the live stream, one of the things they even made note of is they're like, "Oh, look at that, top down even," because apparently I'm a weirdo for wanting to drop the top in my drop top when it's freaking 90 degrees outside and my yeah. And especially, dude, like when you have the top up, you get so much more buffeting. Like basically convertibles are actually like, contrary to popular belief, when the tops are down, you actually like have like we especially if you put the windows up, but even with the windows down, you actually do get a lot less wind buffeting when you run them in their like purest state, which is top down. Put windows up will significantly decrease, any side buffeting you get, but it's honestly worse noise level wise and wind level wise to have the soft top up, windows down, than it is to just have the whole top down. So and I had the top up for one session because the sun was at high noon and was freaking baking me. So I put the soft top up when I was sitting in grid, and then all the cars started taking off faster than I thought they would, and I didn't have time to put the top down. So I was just like, all right, top up it is. But yeah, so I want to get, but I realized that if I get a black helmet, it won't be nearly as noticeable. Like it'll be like, why does the helmet look weird? Why is it like, why is it textured? Versus if I got like a white helmet, then it'd just be like, boop, you could instantly tell there's like a little Afro on it. Because, for me, it's all about that exposure. I want people to remember me, which I was honestly kind of really surprised at how many people were hyped about my car. Like, considering all the other fucking shit that showed up. Like, my car is small potatoes. It's not the smallest potatoes, but it was small potatoes compared to a lot of the other cars that showed up to Gridlife. But I had tons of people who were like, dude, your car's awesome. I was like, thanks. Which, I mean, to be fair, like it's kind of that worst thing where it's like you're always your worst critic. So like for me, like I know all the flaws in my car and I know how much cooler other S2000s are, but it'll get I think once I finally get my aero going, I'll start to feel a little more confident, because right now to me it's still kind of like a naked proto baby car because it's not as aggressive as it could be. I think a lot of people though did latch on because I'm like the only S2000 I've seen doing competitive, and obviously if any of you guys know a car, I'm sorry, I don't personally know of it, but I'm the only competitive car I've seen stateside running that style spoon bumper. I've seen tons of show cars, but I've not seen any competitive cars running it. Most of them just do the chop bumper and call it a day. So I think that's one thing that a lot of people took a lot of interest in on it. So getting into that though, so just for any of you guys who didn't know, I competed in my first ever time attack event last weekend up at Pikes Peak International Raceway. I was not crazy fast, but I wasn't crazy slow.
Whatever.
Either.
I mean,
Yeah, I 100% and completely, like, I'm actually excited about where I managed to place, because for me, and so this is where, kids don't follow in my footsteps. This is a bad thing, and I am still mildly ashamed of it, but I did actually kind of lie a little bit by accident in order to get in. Because basically, when I first filled out my application to be a time attack racer, I was like, I'm going to have 6 track days, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that, I'm going to have that, because those are all things I was planning to do this year. Then COVID hit. So basically, I showed up to this event with 0 track time with the car as a wide-bodied car on brand new coilovers instead of blown factory suspension. Like, the car is fucking massively wider than it used to be. Well, massively being subjective. From a mechanical standpoint, it's massively
wider.
Way
wider, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not nearly as wide as half of the fuckboy stance cars out there, for sure. But those
you're not hella flush?
Yeah, I'm not hella flush because, I actually believe in this little thing called bump steer. Bump steer sucks.
making your car usable.
Yeah. So but yeah, so anywho, the and I've only ever basically I literally had one track day before this event, and it was in the rain, and I crashed my car. So for all intents and purposes, I was technically not the best candidate to show up for this event. But when I showed up, I couldn't, like, basically the for like 3 months before the event, I was trying to contact Gridlife. Hey Gridlife, can I cancel my Gridlife or my Time Attack registration and do the PDE? Hey Gridlife, can I just change my registration to PDE? I don't even need a refund. Hey Gridlife. Never heard. Well, I never phoned them. Yeah, like I never even phoned them, because if you call, they only have their phone number listed in one place on their Facebook page, and if you call it, it rickrolls you. So
does it literally play the rickroll?
It I'm not even joking. Literally
That's
rickrolls
funny.
you. Like I listened to the whole thing. I was like stupefied, and I couldn't even be mad. So the only way to contact them is email. And they just were dodging my emails. So I show up day of, and I like go to get registered. I'm like, hey, so is there anything you guys can do in terms of getting me switched over? And they're like, no, you're gonna have to talk to Adam. So I was like, okay, well, let me find this Adam guy. Found him completely by accident, because I was like in the paddock area, and I just heard somebody say, hey Adam, blah, 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 and I was like, by any chance are you Gridlife's Adam? And he's like, yes. And I was like, I needed to find you. Talked to him, and then he was like, okay, yeah, we can totally get you squared away, so just talk to me tomorrow, and I will get you squared away with everything you need. I was like, okay. So I show up, day of competition, because I had showed up the day before to get registered. So I show up the day of competition, still don't have any of my shit, don't have my wristband. Yes, I am still wearing it because I'm a lazy asshole, and it's actual cloth, so you have to cut it off, and all my scissors are missing. So I've been lazy, yeah. And why don't you use your snippers? So you're a mechanic guy. All my snippers are still packed in the back of the S2000 because I haven't had time to unpack anything yet. So I literally, all my cutting tools that could effectively cut this free are missing or gone, so I haven't bothered. But yeah, so anyway, so I show up, I don't have any of my stuff. I got into the place by just basically by the good graces that the guys at the gate were lazy. So I was like, yeah, I'm just getting my stuff squared away, I've got da-da-da-da, you can tell. And then they're like, you know what, that looks like a Time Attack car, you seem like a Time Attack kind of guy, go for it. So then, like, that day of, I can't find Adam anywhere. No one knows where he is, I don't know where he is. So I'm like, I guess I'm doing Time Attack. Oh, I gotta back up a step here. So on the first day that I arrived, since I didn't have anything to do, because I didn't have my registration stuff figured out, I started walking around and talking to people, because that's me. I talk to people. That's my thing. Ended up meeting. He doesn't know it because I didn't say it to his face, but he's my Time Attack senpai. But Jackie Ding is he's a big Time Attack. Like, he's at this point nationally famous because of the TA90, aka the A90 Supra that he built into this crazy Time Attack car. And even before that, his first Time Attack thing was an S2000, which is how I got started following him. And he's basically who inspired me to do my build. And anyway, I got a chance to talk to him in person, so I was talking to him about the A90 and talking to him about elevation stuff and how it was, what he'd felt with the car so far, and what and we were just kind of talking about stuff. And he was like, so are you here to compete today? I was like, well, I was, but instead I'm doing the PDE because I did. And he's like, basically, and it's kind of one of those things where, just because he was my senpai, him saying something casual had a much bigger impact than than it should have. Some would even argue, because basically it was like, well, Time Attack's just HPDE with a transponder. You might as well. And I was like, and that is when there's a little fire in my inside that was just like, you know what? Fuck yeah, I'm gonna fucking do this.
Why not?
Senpai believes in me. So then the next day I couldn't find the guy anywhere, and I was like, you know what? Everything points. Oh, and also So it's like there's like 4 things that made me do time attack instead of downgrading to PDE. One, the fact that I realized that I drove 14 hours to essentially do a track day at a festival that was half of the festival it was supposed to be because of COVID. Two, it's kind of your guys' fault because I don't think that whoever made the post on Facebook, I don't think that they knew that I was going to go down to PDE. So, like, the way they made the post sound, it made it seem like I was going to be doing time attack. And so I was like, haha, which that's 100%.
So now you got to.
Yeah, so it's like I was like had like the social pressure there. Then Time Attack Senpai convinced me to do it. And then lastly, I couldn't find Adam again. So I was in the registration line to just get my Time Attack shit because it was like I've got to sign up with something so I can do something this weekend. And then he found me while I was in line. He was like, "Hey, so did you still want to drop down?" And then I was like, "No." I was just like, "Actually, no. I slept on it, and I decided I'm gonna send it." And then he was like, "Okay, well, yeah. So why don't you go ahead and talk? First, let's just talk about what all you've done and what you're comfortable with and stuff like that." And so he was like, "So you mentioned that you were intermediate." And so this is where we get into a not loss in translation, but just a misunderstanding. When I emailed him originally asking to cancel my thing or to change my registration, I'd said like, here's what I have so far. I've got 5 years of autocross, 5 years of rallycross. I'm a street survival instructor, so I know a lot about car control stuff. And I'm an intermediate in the Chicago region in their PDE program. Which intermediate is, and then in parentheses I put intermediate is 4+ track days. Now, I didn't mean I had 4+ track days. I've had 1, but in my 1 track day, they moved me to the intermediate group. So basically like I had already decided I was gonna do this time attack thing. So he was like, "Okay, so you mentioned you had like 5 years of this, 5 years of that, and then you said you had like four track days with Chicago region," and I was just like, "Yeah," and he was just like, "All right, well, yeah, go for it. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Have fun." So it's just like, so and I got away with it because obviously and this is where again this is why it was a big thing for me. Is I proved to myself that I could be competent because I did not have a single like fuck up incident. I knew everything. Like this is me patting myself on the back here, but like I knew when to point people by. I knew when to give people space. The closest thing I had to a hiccup was just that I didn't follow, because when you do your starting lap, you're actually supposed to start kind of clustered together because that way you start your session in the straightaway, and they want you to stay clustered together so that if you're faster than the car in front of you horsepower wise, you can just immediately pull in front of them, and you don't end up with a weird situation where you're being slowed down by the car in front of you and a bunch of other stuff. So but because I wasn't comfortable with the track yet, I ended up leaving a gap, and they're like, "Don't leave a gap, close the gap." But aside from that, everything else was like the weekend couldn't have gone better. I shaved off 6 seconds over the weekend, which on a minute, it's a minute long track, give or take. Like the fastest cars were doing, I think the fastest time of the weekend was a 56, and the average was around somewhere between like 1.6 and 1.10, and I went from a 1.16. So even then, my slowest time for the weekend without traffic, I did have a really bad traffic lap, but my slowest competitive time was a 1.16, and I managed to get it up to a 1.10. And again, that is with 2 track days under my entire belt and 0 track days with a car that's a fucking monster. And again, for anybody, most of the people listening at this stage are gonna be fans and not naysayers. But for the naysayers out there, it's going to be like, "Oh, it's just got wide tires and a wide body. You don't have any of this." And you're absolutely correct. The car is only halfway done. But as it sits now, the S2000 is more car than I have ever driven and been able to drive. And because of that, the learning curve for it is insane. I did not get the car to understeer once. I didn't get it to push once. I got oversteer. That took the entire first day to get oversteer to get confident enough to get it to oversteer. And so that means I'm still not braking late enough, and I am still not turning in sharp enough, and I'm still not turning hard enough. And like basically me doing what I understand now, like if the car was stock, the way I was driving it would have probably been about somewhere between 6 and 8/10. 6 and 8/10 on the stock car is like 4 or 5/10 in how the car sits now. And that's on cheap tires too. Like I'm on Federal 595R double R's, which are they're not the best tires in the world, but they're bang for your buck fantastic. Like it was $550 for two 240 for my full set of tires with 245s in the front, 275s in the rear. And these are like chonky tires were only $550. The road noise was absolutely abysmal. And I didn't mention this before, but I drove the car all the way down there and I drove it all the way back. And thank God I had headphones, because the road noise is like when I first started the trip, when the tread depth was at maximum depth, we tested it with a flyby, and my friend said I sounded like a baby Jeep. Like a Jeep on, like KO2s, that, whenever you passed like an off-road vehicle and they do make that little that horrible noise. Hunter, did I lose you? You're muted.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Nah, you're good. But that sound that you've probably heard a million times on the highway? Like, that's what the car sounded like, but smaller. So, don't ever buy 595R double R's for street use unless you hate yourself. They're pretty much a track-only tire or very, very short commute tire because they are noisy. And the noise starts at 40 miles per hour. Like, it's not just like highway speed. It is like every commute you do, you will hear that sound. But anyway, so I drove the car down there, and so anyway, long story short is just considering everything I had working against me, and the fact that I had to drive the car home, so I was paranoid about braking stuff. So like, in theory, I should have been able to do the oval at about 110. I capped at 92. 92 was the fastest I ever did the oval at. And that's because I didn't want to hit the wall, because walls are scary, and I still have flashbacks to when I hit the wall on the wet track day. But I did get, like, as I started going faster and faster over the weekend, I realized that it was me, it wasn't the car, because in that oval, it's kind of weird. And honestly, Hunter, you probably even know this because of, good old iRacing stuff. But one thing that just did not click to my monkey brain and my reaction brain is that it's really safer to stay dug into the throttle going into the oval, because letting off throttle is what can make the front end push, because you're no longer pushing the car into the turn and forcing it to lean the front end into it. So It's like letting off in the oval makes you have to take the oval even slower than if you just keep the throttle pegged and you just focus on following the right line.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, is like I got to follow a guy. His name's Kane, absolute homie. He is the reason why I got my fastest lap of the day. And it was because I followed him, and he kind of made me realize, like, because he was taking the oval faster than me. So when I followed him, it made me realize, okay, well, if he can go at that fast, I have 20 more millimeter, because he had 255 square and I had 275 in the rear. So it's like, you know what? If his rear end isn't stepping out and freaking out at this speed, mine sure as shit isn't. So I started actually chasing him at his pace, and that's what ended up making me go faster. And it's just like, if you stay in the throttle, it'll work. Just don't let up. Don't be an e-bussy.
Don't be an e-bussy.
So, anywho, long story short, like I say, keep saying, because now it's a long story long. But my first time attack event technically shouldn't have been doing it, but got away with it, and it went very smoothly. And now I'm addicted, and I'm like now dealing with withdrawal because I don't have the money or the time to do another Gridlife this year. But I'm hoping next year. I'm gonna plan for next year. Next year I'm gonna try and do at least 3 of these fuckers because it is way too much fucking fun.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I have not felt more alive in the past like 2 years. Like,
Nice.
this took me like and that's the reason why I want to transition out of doing fucking IT stuff, because car stuff makes me way more happier. And like, because the only time that I felt that good doing like, you know, an activity is sex, and the first rallycross that I ever worked crew on, which is also a big motorsports event where a bunch of exciting stuff happens, and you get to, like, it's just the level of satisfaction that you get from accomplishing your own goals when it comes to those kind of things, and accomplishing things that you and other people did not think was possible. Like, I'm not going to say a ton of people said, oh, it's not going to happen, but I will say that, like, even in our little social group, everyone was kind of giving me shit about stuff potentially not happening. And to be fair, I didn't think it was going to happen with all the COVID bullshit and everything. Like, I thought that this whole plan was going to fall apart. And even going into it, I was ready to not do it. Like, I was just going to do the PDE and just, you know, have fun with it and enjoy the festival. But having done it now, it's just like, this is a highlight of my life right here. And in the photo album that is my life accomplishments, this will go boom right on page 48. I don't know why I said it's 48, but it's going on page 48 in my life scrapbook.
As it should.
Yeah. So anywho, that was my whole dealio. If you're ever interested in learning more, my race team is Afro Speed. It's on, you can find it all over the place, or the website is afro-speed.com, because some motherfucker in Germany has Afro Speed without the hyphen and has not let it expire. So I need to get around to getting somebody to negotiate with them so I can buy that address, because you know, I want it, but I bet you that they're going to probably come back with a 3-digit figure, which is not big money, but at the same time, if that 3-digit figure is like $750, it's like, oh, god damn it. Because that's, you know, almost $1,000 for a name that I'm not totally using yet. Because Afro Speed is still small. We're still small. We're not making the big money yet. And as a matter of fact, we're burning the big money. We're burning a lot of the big money. But I do want to. Anyway, afro-speed.com. You can follow all of our social media and stuff from there and see all the stuff that I'm doing with race car stuff, because I can actually say that I'm like another step closer to being an actual race car driver, because I am actually doing competitive events at that level finally. Because that's the other thing too, is it's like I've been, and this is all technically still amateur because no one's paying me to do it, but it's like that step out of the like weekend hobby and into the like actually racing in some way, shape, or form. And again, naysayers may say, oh, it's just time attack. We'll go out, take your car on track and do time attack, and then tell me.
We do a track day.
Yeah. Because, dude, oh, that's the other thing, dude, is like, by the way, Hunter, I will say, for some reason, doing 80 laps around PPIR was less exhausting than me doing iRacing for some reason. I think a lot of it was because of the adrenaline of the whole weekend, because I did not feel half as and that's another thing that made me realize why I really want to keep doing this stuff is that like a lot of my stresses and stuff go away on race weekend because I focus on race weekend, and it completely changes like my physiology. Like, obviously I don't turn green, but I mean, like, straight up, I had, without the mental fatigue of daily life, I had like 50% more energy physically to do stuff. So anyway, but I will say by day 3, it was getting hard, because, you know, I was doing like 1.7 Gs in some corners in the current configuration on that car. And I mean, and that's in every direction too. That's braking, that's not acceleration, because at elevation I only had like 200 horsepower, so it wasn't like brrr! It was so nice to come back down to 500 feet instead of 5,000 feet, because the car actually had power again. But lateral, in terms of turns and braking, like by day 3 my wrists were starting to ache, and like I would probably have only been good for another day. Like, if Gridlife was 5 days of racing, I would have been done by day 4. But it's only 3 days of racing, so I was good for the whole thing. And then I felt like shit the whole drive back home. So, now that I've managed to ramble on about that for an hour straight on top of the other things, let's see. Which ones do we... Honestly, in terms of topics... we already talked about that. Yeah, I'm just gonna blast through. So, let's alternate this, Hunter, and we'll just blast through these fun little tiddly bits. Let me go ahead. I think we can skip this one, because honestly, it's kind of... Well, I don't know if I want to skip it, because it is kind of neat. Like, I like that it's happening. I know it's gonna stay. It's gonna stay. So, yeah. So, anywho. Yeah, so we're gonna lightning round this, now that I've talked around a bunch of other stuff. So, starting with... Michigan is officially starting their pilot program where they're going through like the planning stages to create an autonomous car lane, which is, I don't know why I never even thought of this myself, but I think that is the best way to start transitioning into an autonomous future, is to have a lane just for the, because that's the biggest concern people always have is, well, how will autonomous cars play with real cars? Like, people will harass them and do all this. It's like, but if you give them their own lane that's optimized, so like, you make sure that the lanes are painted more clearly, or in their little diagram, it was even like legit a yellow brick road, basically, is what it looked like. If you make like an optimized lane just for autonomous cars, I could heavily foresee that actually being really, really useful for people who are opting to go that route. So that was kind of cool to hear that Michigan is actually going through the planning stages and the bidding stages to make that happen, so that they can start preparing for autonomous cars. You're up next.
That is pretty cool.
Talk about the Fat Jeep.
There's a Fat Jeep coming. The Wagoneer is coming back, and it's going to be a big-ass SUV.
Yeah, it's like a Tahoe competitor. And that's it. That's all we know. Then, after that, we've got the next-gen 8.6 has been spotted again, and this time with a little bit more detail and for a little bit longer. Personally, I kind of hate the new front end, the way that it's shaped right now. But obviously we haven't seen the whole thing yet. But I don't know, it's like I kind of like the boy racy spiky styling of the, the holy trifecta, the FRS, BRZ, 8.6. Like, I liked that it had that kind of like the sharper, more race car-y angles. This is way more tame. And honestly, like and again, camouflage hides a lot. So once we actually start seeing it, I'll make my final decisions. But I will say this BRZ looks a lot more plain than the current gen BRZ. Personal opinion.
Yep.
And I will talk about this one because I'm the only one who gives a shit about it. The Hyundai Elantra N is going to be a thing, and it's going to come with a 6-speed manual. I love the fact that Hyundai keeps doing N things, and actually, the Elantra is a neat look. It's a weird looking car, but it is really attractive, and I kind of like it's basic. Ooh, excuse me. It's basically almost got a duck bill, like, in the back of it. Like, it's got kind of like a duck bill spoiler thing kind of going on. Now, this car isn't as spicy as the Veloster N, because it only makes, like, 201 horsepower. But considering the weight of the car and the fact that the slow version only makes, like, 160, it's a massive improvement. And this is, like, again, it's like Hyundai is getting into those, like, warm hatch and hot hatch cars. Those, like, cars that, because it's going to start at, like, 24K, I think. It's either 24K or 27K. It's one of those two numbers. Hold on, let's find out. Make sure I'm not getting this wrong. No, I'm sorry. It's going to start at 27K. But still, that's the starting price of the Veloster N. So it's like, again, they just have a lot of these interesting options for if you want, like, a little bit of hotness in your life. and you want a manual thing in your life. And I don't think the car is unattractive. Like, again, keep on trucking along, Hyundai. Keep on making weird, fun, quick-ish / quick things. Keep doing it.
Yep.
Up next.
This takes about an hour to talk about.
You know what? Let's save it for next time, because it's a little bit, there's just so much to talk about with it. We were going to talk about the T50. We're not going to talk about the T50 anymore. We don't have time for it. There's a lot to say, and it's a really cool car. Next.
So all the teams that are currently signed are for Formula 1 are coming back. They signed the new Concord agreement, so it looks like the $145 million cost cap will be implemented next year.
Yay! Sorry about that yawn. God, I've just got tons of yawns. But yeah, so we'll get to see a little bit more of the same. And this was something we were kind of talking about before the podcast. It still always makes me a little sad. Like, I 100% understand why, but it always makes me sad to see that it's like there's 10 teams in Formula 1. 10. Name me another motorsport that has 10 teams. Now, you could make the argument this is pinnacle motorsport. So there's only, it is the best of the best, and only so many people can be the best of the best and afford to compete at a best of the best level.
I don't think that's the spirit of it. I think the spirit of it is constructing a car and racing.
That's true.
And I think, if they stop doing this nonsense of going to fucking these shitty fucking tracks in like Bahrain or Saudi Arabia or Russia, and they just, if they did a North American, an Asian, and a European tour, and then that would cost, well, they would have to take out Japan really to make it make sense, but that would cut so much cost out of Formula 1. If they just stick to Europe, maybe went to North America, maybe went to Asia for a couple rounds.
You just made me think about how expensive it is to move a team around. Like, there's so much shit. Like, we're talking like anywhere between 3 to 5 semis worth of equipment and hundreds of people, like, to move around for all of this. Like, the sheer, like, I don't even know how you get the trucks around. Like, I guess, I honestly, I don't know if it's like they put them on ferries and send them on their way, or if they actually decouple the trailers and send the trailers as freight, or what. Like, actually,
no, you'll see the trucks used in Europe mostly. I think the way they do it in America, or when they fly away, is they ship stuff, and then a lot of the cars and everything like that gets air freighted.
Fair enough. For a minute, I thought you were going to say that then they just drive the cars there.
No.
Dude, could you imagine how freaking cool that would be if that was part of the spirit of the sport? Like, they had, they blocked off a road between the port and the track, and the F1 cars actually drove. Like, I 100% understand why it doesn't happen, but God, like, that's one of the things that's the super fun about rally, is that it's like a sport where literally you can pass one of the race cars driving on the highway, or more than likely they'll pass you because they're in a hurry going somewhere, but it's just so involved. Like, you were so in it as a spectator.
Yeah.
So anywho, now I'm gonna cut it off at that so Hunter can go to sleep, because it's 10:30 for you. 10:30.
Yep, 10:30.
Yeah, and we're old men, so we need to go to bed at good hours so we can do stuff. But anywho, as always, huge thank you to any of you guys who are new listeners. I know that we got a bunch of you guys clickbaitily. Is that I'm gonna make that a word. We got a bunch of you guys clickbaitily potentially from the Joe Rogan Experience of all things, titling that way, like decatupled. Is that a word? Decatupled?
I don't know.
We got 10 times as many downloads / listens for that podcast for some reason. So if any of you guys stuck around for the rest of the podcast, goodness, after that, other than Joe Rogan, then welcome to the party. We have a running gag here. Well, it's not. I guess it's not even really a gag so much as it's a community involvement thing on top of that. But this week, let's talk about this week. If you email Juan at thecolumnshifters.com, it's Juan at thecolumnshifters.com. And you email me with the phrase, I don't know, let's just email Time Attack, since that's what I spent the most time talking about today. Just email me the words Time Attack, and I will send you a $10 gift card, coupon, whatever, to an eating establishment of your choice. So, yeah, just to prove that you listened all the way through, again, Time Attack is the code that you're going to look for. And as always, if you guys are interested in this podcast, please do not hesitate to like it, share it, subscribe to it on your podcasting platform of choice, or if you're one of our YouTube watchers, then, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're still kind of back and forth. We're figuring out, because obviously the Column Shifters is a bigger group as a whole, and we have a lot of other content things we want planned, so we may end up creating a separate channel for podcasts in the future. But for now, it's all going to be rolled into one little bundle. So, for the meantime, subscribe to that to the Column Shifters on YouTube. And you can, keep track of when we release new stuff. And likewise, we're on every social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I say every, but it's just those three. We're not on any of the other ones currently. So, as always, the selfish, there we go. Not selfless. Selfish plug for all of our stuff. But, like I said, subscribe us, like us, help us grow so we can get our voice out there to more people. In the meantime, we're going to say goodbye to all of you guys, and we're going to go to sleep. Peace out.
Okay. Bye-bye.